If you play tabletop RPGs, there's a high chance that you primarily play Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder, and these two games have a lot in common, notably their gameplay style. You roll a d20, you add a bonus, you hit a target number or higher, and you succeed. Especially in combat, this usually means your opponent's armor class, which is based off of what they're wearing and all of that jazz. Well, this year, we have seen a Kickstarter go insane for a brand new tabletop role-playing game that I will put money on that it will change things forever. This is a bold claim, and I want to preface this video by saying a lot of the things I will talk about here, it is not the first time they have ever been done. There are plenty of smaller indie TTRPGs that have tackled concepts like the game we're discussing today. However, no game has ever gotten this much support going into it, and I think with a game this size, it could really flip the TTRPG landscape on its head. I am talking about the MCDM RPG. It's a working title. This stands for Matthew Colville Dungeon Masters RPG. If you're unaware, Matthew Colville has been on the internet regarding TTRPGs for literal decades, all the way back in forums before YouTube, and especially on YouTube. Matthew Colville has studied game design, worked on game design, and talked about game design for long time. You might actually have some of his books without even realizing it. He recently released Flee Mortals, which was a hugely successful D&D 5e bestiary. He also made Where Evil Lives, Kingdoms and Warfare, Strongholds and Followers. He's been making massively successful books for years. But finally, during this past year, he and his team sat down and decided, okay, we're done making supplements for existing games, we're going to make our own game. And thus, the MCDM RPG was born. God, I can't wait until it gets an actual title. So today I'm going to talk about exactly what this TTRPG is bringing to the table. Please laugh. And how it's differentiating itself from all of its various competitors, and why I think it's taken a bunch of innovative ideas from the past 20 years, not only from D&D and Pathfinder, but a ton of indie RPGs, as well as taking inspiration from video game mechanics and reverse engineering them back into tabletop mechanics in a way that feels natural. Now, they're very upfront that this is a combat-focused system. There is roleplay support, obviously, but it's not going to have a lot of minutia. There's not going to be, specifically, you're not going to keep track of torches. You're not going to need to see how much light you are giving off with an item. This is not about exploring hex by hex and discovering individual parts. This is a primarily encounter-focused system with some light roleplay elements to facilitate the time between encounters. Not to say that the campaigns using this system have to be 90% combat, but the game is designed primarily around the combat while keeping roleplay freeform. And honestly, that's how I play D&D or Pathfinder most of the time anyway. When I DM Pathfinder, I don't use the stages of social whatever rules, these ones. No, I'm still in the 1990s version of, oh, you want to ask them to do something? Roll me diplomacy. Oh, you succeeded? Cool, they'll do it. Usually, with, reason. One of the big sentences that simultaneously gives me a lot of confidence in this project, but also sounds a little bit elitist from the developers, is this one. Basically, any adventure or story you're running in your current fantasy RPG, you can do that in this game, just in a more straightforward and fun way, unburdened by sacred cows from the 1970s. What does that mean? Well, first off, it does sound like we're doing it better, which I'm like, okay, I get you want to tout your product, so that's totally fair. It's a little bit strong forward, but unburdened by the sacred cows. A big example of this, there is no armor class in this game. You are not rolling a d20, adding an attack bonus, comparing it to their armor class, and then rolling damage. No, in MCDM RPG, you just roll damage. I'm gonna read this next part verbatim because it explains it better than I ever could. Fighting monsters in this game is a dynamic, action-oriented blast. Heroes and monsters often have abilities that knock their opponents into walls, through doors, into each other. Every hero has a small array of cool thematic abilities they can use every round. You gain resources in this game as you play, so battles get more epic as they go, no slog. The tactician they show off here is a great example of this. Every turn at the start of your turn, you get 2 focus. This is the tactician's unique heroic resource which they use to augment their abilities. Now this focus doesn't just go away at the end of your turn, it carries over. So if you generate 2 focus and don't use any, then at the start of your next turn, you're now up to 4 focus, meaning if you or an adjacent ally get attacked 4 times that turn, you can use the empowered version of the parry triggered action for all 4 attacks. We don't have any more classes revealed quite yet, so I'm excited to see how they show off the gaining of resources as battles go on, but the goal is for battles to get faster and faster to their conclusion, rather than people running out of spell slots, healing each other to full, and then punching each other with their weakest attacks for the rest of combat, which is a real problem. But the big one. This game uses 2d6 plus a handful of d4s and d8s. When you attack, you roll 2d6, add one of your attributes, and that is how much damage you do. Your attack roll is your damage roll. There is no d20, there is no added modifier, there is no armor class. You deal damage, and your opponent has a chance to reduce the damage. No matter what happens, you will do something, and this is true with spells too. You cannot miss. No more wasted turns, no more burning resources on spells only for your target to save. This is really nice, especially from a resource heavy character like a spellcaster. I'll tell you, it feels awful to use one of your few max level spell slots in D&D or Pathfinder and have nothing happen. That takes me right out of the moment. As I said before, they have some light roleplay integration with things like patience and interest regarding negotiation, but even that sounds like it's going to be handled in an encounter format, and that you are going to take actions to affect your target's patience and interest to get them over to your side. They say there might be some opportunities in pre-written adventures to sway an NPC over to your side, but in the rules it will only be a specific NPC where this is possible, and that the game is not designed around talking to every single character in the world. Hopefully there will be rules to do that, because not including that as part of your game would be heavily detrimental, and I would hold that against this game. But if they can make an encounter-based diplomatic engagement interesting, I think that's awesome and something that is underdone. Pathfinder 2e does have rules for this, but even that does feel kind of clunky. Like I showed off earlier, they've given us the tactician, at least the first 2 pages of this class, to show off what their classes are going to look like, and it's pretty cool. I like how simplistic the character scores are. You can see the tactician will have 3 might, 3 reason, and any other 2 stats get a score of 2, and any other 2 stats besides those get 1. So there's no rolling for stats. You're just going to have 3 in your most important stats, and then you can distribute 2 2s and 2 1s, at least for the tactician. I don't know if the other classes are going to have different stat distributions, or if they're all going to be 3 3 2 2 1 1, which I'm fine with, because this game is going for a incredibly balanced combat experience where your ability scores are expected to be in a certain way. And there are people who make that argument about Pathfinder 2e, but Pathfinder 2e still gives you the freedom to adjust your ability scores as you want to, whereas this one's pretty much going to say, your most important skills, those are going to be maxed no matter what, which might be a turn on for some people and a turn off for others. The health is way higher in this game. Level 1, the tactician gets 38 plus endurance and then gains 8 plus endurance every single level. I like that the leveling up health isn't that much faster than the games we know and love, but the starting health going to be 40 plus for this character, that's super cool. And it makes sense, because it doesn't look like damage is going to scale too terribly high outside, unless there's some class features that will like double or triple your damage somehow. All of your damage is always going to be 2d6 plus blank. Skills seem pretty similar: acrobatics, athletics, craft, intimidates, knowledge, vigor. Vigor's new, but overall skills sound like they're going to work pretty similar, but we don't have any examples of how skills are going to work in the context of the game yet. But here we do have an example of what an action looks like, and I really like how elegant this looks. The basic attack for the tactician is the precise attack. It has the keywords attack and weapon, very similar to the traits of Pathfinder 2e. Type, 1 action. Distance, melee 1, so you have a reach of 1. Or ranged, targets 1 creature and deals 2d6 plus reason damage. Boom, at level 1 that's dealing 2d6 plus 3, plain and simple. I do love that they have removed any kind of feet or meters or general measurement. It is just by squares. So your melee attack has a reach of 1 square. No more worrying about if that square is 5 feet or 10 feet. It is just assumed that there is a universal square size in this game, and so your abilities and reach weapons and movement speeds are all just done in a number. Like you can see here on the humans that they have a movement speed of 6, and same thing with weight. They can carry a weight of 4. No more pounds, no more ounces, no more feet, no more meters, just speed number and weight number. I love that. Keep it simple. Ancestry is just like a lot of games, just give you a few minor benefits to your character. They don't have a huge impact, at least not from what we've seen, on how your character will function in combat, but you can see like humans, speed of 6, weight capacity of 4, they can detect the supernatural, resist the supernatural, which gives them a boon on a roll. I couldn't find on here what a boon actually is. I assume it's advantage, where you can use that boon to re-roll if you want to. Either that or it might be just a flat bonus to the roll, I'm not quite sure. And humans also get staying power, 2 more recoveries per day, which is actually huge. I believe by default characters only get 3 recoveries per day, so 2 extra is huge. A recovery gives you 1/3 of your max hit points back. The way they've handled equipment is also incredible. Equipment is no longer like a 1d8 longsword or a 1d6 spear with reach. That is gone. Now your equipment is called a kit. A kit is a general description of a type of equipment. For example, the cloak and dagger kit. This will always give you the same effects as long as you equip the cloak and dagger kit, but you get to describe it. Are you dual wielding daggers? Is it a single dagger? Is it a cloak? Is it a cape? Is it that you can just describe it? As long as it still fits thematically with the abilities granted by the kit, you can describe it how you want. The cloak and dagger provides throwable light weapons and light armor easily concealed. Doesn't even have to be daggers. It could be small hatchets. It could be a tiny little billy club. As long as it fits the description of the kit, you get to describe your personal equipment however you want. And this cloak and dagger, it gives you a bunch of stuff. Cloak and dagger equipment, you wear light armor and wield 1 or 2 light weapons. Bonuses, you get +5 health, +3 to speed, +2 damage with all weapon attacks, and +5 range with all weapon attacks. That's freaking cool! You get health bonuses and speed bonuses, or probably penalties as well, depending on your equipment. That is awesome! I love that kits also come with a special attack. Stabbing Misdirection. It's a weapon attack, 1 action, targets a creature, 2d6 +2 plus agility. So we actually see there, I guess that's how damage is going to scale. If you find better kits, they'll actually come with inherent damage bonuses, or certain class abilities, maybe at higher levels, will have flat bonus damages as part of the roll. And in effect, slide the target up to a number of squares equal to twice your agility. So you stab them and you just send them off. This is all about controlling the battlefield, which I love. Every game, Pathfinder's been a step in the right direction, but it's still not perfect. A lot of modern TTRPGs are static. You find your place in combat and you stay there. But there's not a lot of effects that move things around, or in Pathfinder's case there are, but there's so many rules about not moving creatures in the right way that kind of freedom, especially as part of the main gameplay mechanic, is what we need. These kits all look super cool. There's kits for all different types of classes. I love it. I'll keep this page on screen as I finish up here, but MCDM RPG has so much cool potential. Obviously, there's a lot that either could go wrong or won't be as good in practice as it is in theory, but I love everything I've seen. You can see how cool and simple monsters look here. There's no more scores and then modifiers, it's just a score, which is the opposite of how Pathfinder 2e did it with their remaster, which is just a modifier, though it sounds like they work almost the same way. I'm excited to experiment with this once a playtest comes out. I did back this Kickstarter, and I'm super stoked to get the playtest, because I want to know what it's like to play a TTRPG combat encounter where nobody misses. Everybody can reduce the damage, redirect the damage, and do something with the damage, but you will never miss. That's super cool, super exciting, and I can't wait to see what this game has in store. But I still put money that MCDM RPG is going to change the landscape. Also, congratulations, Matthew, if you're watching this video, on $4.6 million raised on your Kickstarter. Incredible. Kudos to you. I'm super excited to see more about it. I hope you are too. I'll leave a link to the Kickstarter in the description. It is already over, so I don't think you can back it anymore, unless you can back it in post. I'm not sure. But you can at least go check it out. There's a lot more here that I haven't talked about today, and I want to hear what you guys think of this in the description. Do you think I'm overhyping it? Do you think it's not going to be as impactful as it seems? Or do you think it's even more? Do you think this could rise through the ranks, challenge Pathfinder for the second place in TTRPGs? I do not think it will beat D&D. I kind of firmly believe we're in a position where no game can beat D&D right now, even with all the bad publicity. D&D is D&D. I don't think you can top that. But I could see this game rocketing to second place, especially if it has a lot of supplemental support going forward. So that's all from me. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. Oh my god. I hope your New Year's been going good. If you want just here for the video, you can click off. But I don't know if you noticed, the camera quality is different. That's because I'm not using my phone camera anymore. I've been using this as my camera for 4 years. I just upgraded to a DSLR that I'm hoping shows through with the quality. Apologies if I'm like out of focus or the lighting is weird. I still have to play with a lot. This is my first time recording a full video with the DSLR, so forgive any kind of weirdness in it. So just wanted to talk about that. I was excited. Yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, no nat ones.